Hey everyone, I'm Shiva RP. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 common security officer interview questions. If you have security officer interview scheduled soon, make sure that you watch this video till the end so that you can easily pass your security officer interview. If you are a security professional and want to learn more in corporate security, make sure you hit Corp Security YouTube channel and the notification bell. Now, let us dive in and understand what are the common questions that are asked in security officer interview. What qualities do you have as a security officer that makes you a good team member? Or another variation would be what qualities that you have that makes you a good security officer. What the employer want to understand by asking this question. The employer want to understand whether you possess necessary qualities that makes you a good candidate for security officer role. Do not confuse this question with qualifications. They're asking your qualities or attributes. But if that question consists of what qualifications and qualities that you have, then you have to talk about your qualities as well as your qualifications. Now, let us try to give a better possible answer to this. As a security officer, you must have certain qualities. Those are about your fastness and how quick you respond to situations. You should be bold or courageous. And you have certain competency in terms of executing your duties. You must be diplomatic in dealing with your employees, customers, and visitors, and even your own superiors and other departmental leads. And since the security job itself is more complex and you have to deal with complex people, you must be emotionally resilient. I made a detailed video on the 5 essential qualities of a security officer. Make sure that you watch that video to understand what are the essential qualities that a security officer must possess. So, how you have to articulate this answer. For example, I've been working as a security officer for the past 3 years, and during my roles and responsibilities, I was always quick and fast in responding to various situations and understanding various security threats. I'm bold in my approach and I have the necessary competence that is required for the role of security officer in terms of understanding company policies and procedures and operating security equipment and dealing with the difficult people and executing company policies and procedures efficiently. And I also dealt various difficult situations diplomatically by dealing with difficult people and disgruntled employees in most amicable manner possible. And also when there is a requirement of dealing tough people, I have dealt which is appropriate for the company policies and procedures. While handling all these tough situations, I remained calm and executed my duties with dedication. What you try to tell in this answer is you are agile and you are bold, you are competent, and you are also diplomatic, and you also show that you're emotional resilience. So there's a framework I gave in the previous video, but your answer doesn't have to be exact this way. Spend some time and try to relate with your experience and try to articulate what are the things that you did and use this ABCD framework and articulate the answer. So if the employee also mentions about qualifications, make sure that you add the years of experience that you have, and out of all the years of experience that you have, try to talk only that is relevant to the current job. For example, you have 3 years of experience. Out of these 3 years of experience and what the current employer is looking, and you try to talk more about those things. Perhaps you might have worked in 10 different areas and the employer might specifically be looking in 3-4 areas. You use this time to talk about only those 3-4 areas what the current employer is looking rather than talking about all of your work experience. For example, if the current employer is more focused on customer service, give the examples which related to customer service incident and customer service activities that you did so that the employer will be able to relate. In what industries you worked as a security officer? What the employer want to understand here? The employer want to understand that as a security officer, do you have relevant industry experience? For instance, if the security office job is being hired in a retail industry, do you have similar experience or something that can be relatable? So it doesn't mean that if you worked in a completely different industry that you shouldn't apply. So what you got to do is, what are the things that are common? As a security officer, whatever the industry that you go, all you got to do is protect the people, property, and information of that particular industry. But the approaches are a bit different. But the screening part is quite common. But how do you approach could be a bit different in manufacturing than a corporate than to a retail industry. You try to bring what are the common things and try to articulate to that particular industry. For example, if you have been hired in retail industry, try to talk about how do you deal with the customers and how do you carry out various investigations and how did you recover the asset that has been stolen, how did you reduce the shrinkage. All these things you have to talk from your experience and at least you try to relate to the current job description. So pay attention to the points in the job description and try to relate your experience to those things. As a security officer, explain what are the daily duties that you perform for your previous employer. What does the employer want to understand here? Employer want to understand what are the things that you did in your previous organization that are relevant to his current role. So this question indirectly also reveal whether you are a productive employee or an unproductive employee. By asking any employees what are their typical day activities, you will be able to understand what value they're actually adding to the company, and also you'll be able to understand whether they understand their roles and responsibilities. So what the employee want to understand is, obviously you want to relate to the current role. Make sure that you read the job description well and try to relate all the activities that you carry out in sync with the job description. So if you want to understand what are the 5 major activities you must carry out as a security officer, make sure that you visit a video which I made on this topic, the 5 major categories of duties that you have to carry out as a security officer. So that video will give you the context and what you have to talk for this question. You check out that particular activity and try to formulate your answer by covering all those 5 activities. Then you'll come up with a better answer. As a security officer, what protocols do you follow to removing dangerous personnel from your organization? So what the employer want to understand by asking this question. On the other hand, the variation could be like, how do you deal with the violent people? How do you remove violent people from your site? Whenever you answer these type of questions, make sure that how quickly, diplomatically you have handled the situation. So what the employee want to try to understand is whether you are confident enough and going to deal with the people and whether you know about company policies and procedures. For example, if company policy is whenever an employee who's trying to behave violently is to report to local law enforcement, you got to do that. On the other hand, it is you removing them physically, you got to follow that. Whatever is appropriate as per the company policy, you should be executing that. As a security officer, you should also know when to involve police or law enforcement personnel to deal with dangerous and violent people. Whenever you answer this question, give them what is the incident and what action that you took and how diplomatically you handled that. You have to cover these points. Describe the incident, what are the actions that you took to diffuse the incident and how diplomatically you dealt with that. And whether all those actions are within the purview of your company policies and procedures. What is the most difficult situation that you faced as a security officer? The employee want to understand how did you handle various emergencies and how did you respond to security incidents. This could be an open-end question. It could mean many things. In general, when this question is asked to security officer, they want to understand what is the toughest situation that you handle as a security officer. That could be anything related to actual security incident that you have prevented. It could be a tough investigation which was not cracked for so many months, years, and you took your initiative and resolve that. So always start with the incident and what was the challenge and how did you solve that. That way you can convey that you are capable of handling difficult situations and become a good candidate for this role. Depending on your experience, you can take examples that are related to investigation solving or accidents that are handled, security incident that you handle. These are the 5 common questions, or there are variations that you find more or less to these questions. I try to give you the context of these questions so that you can tailor the answers based on your situations. I can give you scripted things, but by having that script and delivering that in an interview is not appropriate, especially as a security officer. You are required to think and act. So each one of you have a different experience. So use this guidelines and framework and spend time to prepare better answers. And if you have not watched the previous video that I made, what you have to do before, during, and after the interview, make sure you watch that video. Let me know your thoughts from the comment section. And also let me know if you have any questions in corporate security. If you like this video, give a thumbs up and share with your friends. And if you or one of your colleagues have security officer interview, make sure you forward this video to them. This is Siva RP signing off until we meet again in the next video.